Hello and welcome to another issue of the Headless Hammerhead Guide to Comics and More. So today we're going to continue our series on the Lancer role-playing game. Last video we discussed how to create a character. This time we're going to review how to create a character using the CompCon app, which stands for Companion Concierge. It is very in-game, in-character, everything within this CompCon app, so we'll go over that in just a minute, but basically it's supposed to act like a system that one of the Lancers or somebody in a control room would be looking at. So this quote-unquote app is not something you can download from an app store. It is actually an online app, so you need to go to their website, which is CompCon, altogether CompCon.app, and that takes you right to the CompCon app, and you can start using it. Now, I highly recommend you open an account. I know everything makes you open an account, everything. Nowadays, you need passwords and accounts for everything. It's annoying, but opening the account allows you to save your information on their servers and helps to prevent your information from getting lost or erased. So the menu is very simple. It has 4 submenus: Compendium, Content, Roster, and Account. If you're not logged in, it will tell you. As you can see there, it shows logged in with a line through it. But you can see here the Compendium has all of the information that you could find in the Lancer core rulebook. So as a player, you don't necessarily need to buy the core rulebook. All the information will be at your fingertips using the CompCon app. So generally only the game master would need to buy the core rulebook, because the game master should have more detailed information, which you can find in the book that you can't find here. Now, the other section is content. So when you click on content there on the lower left corner, it takes you to their submenu where you can see content packs. That's if you've downloaded any content packs or you purchase any. You can install content that you get from other sources. And then you have the LCP directory, which basically the Lancer directory. You have official content released by Massive. Massive are the company who created Lancer, and they have some free stuff, they have some for sale, and this is all official content that you can use. That includes adventures, it includes other information, details of new mechs and things like that, weapon systems. Then you have Lancer community content, which is unofficial content, homebrew content. Again, also some adventures, some other content like weapons and mechs, even mech manufacturers you can find on there. Some is free, some is not. And you can create your own and actually share it with the community as well, or even sell it. The Lancer community is very active and they embrace homebrew content, and so do the publishers. Massive and Dark Horse, they invite people to create their own content and share it with the rest of the Lancer community, because that's how you keep the game popular and how you help grow the game. The other section is the roster. So you're going to see all your pilots that you create on here. You can see I have quite a few, and then you can also create a new pilot. Now, again, it is extremely important that you create an account, because you can lose your pilot if you don't have an account. Believe me, a lot of people have complained online that they've lost their content, but it's mainly because they don't have an account open for the CompCon app. So creating a new character is very simple. You go again from the main menu, you go into the roster submenu on the upper right hand corner. You'll see all of your current pilots, but you can create a new pilot or import a pilot. We'll discuss that later. But if you click create new pilot, you can see here you need to enter the name of the pilot. Now this is all optional. You don't have to enter a name. You can roll the random dice there on the left and it'll create a name for you, so it makes it very quick. You can create a character in less than a minute if you use everything random. So we're going to create our Roger Moore character with a call sign of Bond. He is a spy, of course. We're going to just enter a very quick biography. He's an MI6 spy, and this again is optional. You don't have to enter this to have your character. So if you need to make a character on the fly, you can do it in less than a minute and you're ready to go. So we're going to put a description here. This is mainly important if you don't have a picture for your pilot. because it helps other players and your game master visualize your character. And because this is a very heavy roleplay style game, for the pilots part of it at least, then it is very important to be able to visualize not only the mechs but the pilots themselves and the world itself. So you want to make sure you put a good description that'll let people visualize your character.
Meh.
And speaking of images, you can add your image here. Notice it says no image data, so when you click add an image, there's a couple of options. Now, because we are not signed in currently, it tells you cannot have the image, you can't load up the images that you have saved on your account, but you can use the images that come with the app itself. So we're going to go sign in. Now it's connected, as you see on the lower right. There's a check mark. When we go back, we click on edit pilot image, and here are the images I've uploaded in the past. And you're allowed up to 250 megabytes of data for your images, which is quite a bit. As you see, I have 3 pages of images, and I've only used a very small amount of my 250 megabytes. So you can upload an image, but you can also use a remote image from a website. You just put the link and you can link it that way. We're gonna just use a pre-gen image here. We'll just pick one here from the selection. There aren't too many right now. It looks like there's what, 11, but again, you can create your own, and they're constantly adding more. Now thinking about it, this doesn't really look like Roger Moore very well, so we're gonna pick the guy in the suit. I think fits more with the description of a dashing MI6 spy. So once you've selected your image, notice it no longer shows no image available. You have your pilot image in place. Then you can click select character template or continue to create your character. I'm clicking template because this is how you quickly create a character. So you have the quote-unquote classes, and based on the class that you pick, it's gonna pick your stats, it's gonna pick your mech, your weapon systems, and everything for you. So we have Vanguard, which are more of the tanks. You have Assault, which are more of the brawlers. Then you have the snipers, which are more long-range type of player style, long-range weapons, things like that. They usually have armor piercing as well. And then you have the hackers, and hackers are pretty much debuffers. They attack enemy systems, they disrupt enemy systems, and debuff the enemies. And then you have fire support, which are the buffers, so they help to buff your heroes, your allies, and make them stronger and more apt to win in combat. So you select it here. We're gonna pick a hacker because that fits kind of the style of a spy, and you click continue, and it is done for you. Then you can register your pilot, and he is complete. Once you click register pilot, it's gonna pull all the random information, save it onto your character sheet, your character profile, and that character will be added to your roster. You see him here on the bottom of the page. So we're gonna take a quick look at what kind of stats and equipment and everything the randomizer selected for our character. So we're just gonna click on the little bar here with the character, where our character appears, and it's gonna take us to a view of the character roster, the character sheet, that I do not like. It's the tabbed view. So what you want to do is on the little red bar at the bottom left there, all the way to the right of the bar, there's like 3 squares and then a half square. You want to click on that, and that's going to show you the 2 options for the way to view the character sheet. And I would recommend the classic view because it shows you everything in one sheet, but you can choose whichever one you prefer. Play around with it, see which one you like better. But this is the classic view. You see the name, the picture, and everything is in order. You just scroll down. I prefer this view. It just, I don't know, works for me. It reminds me more of having a single character sheet, printed sheet in front of me. But you can see here all the stats are selected. The gear for the pilot themselves has been selected, and all of the other information, the skills, triggers, all that has been selected, including mech skills and talents. Now, the mech itself has also been created and selected, and they've even given it a random name. That, what you see there on the green bar, prepare yourself for the end, is the name of the mech, and it'll create just a random name. Sometimes you get funky stuff like this. Again, this process takes less than a minute. If you don't add a picture or the description or anything, you randomize everything. Now we're going to create a pilot raw. So we click create new pilot, and here we have the typical, just like last time, you create the name, call sign, background, all that stuff. We're going to do this very quickly here. Now we're going to add the portrait. Now, quick note, if you're using the link option or remote photo, keep in mind that images aren't kept forever online. So once that image no longer exists at that web address, you're going to get an error message, or your pilot's picture will disappear. So it's always recommended that you just download the picture and then upload it to the CompCon app, so you always have it. So then we're going to click continue on the lower right there, the green button. And now you get to pick, rather than it randomized or creating it based on template, you're gonna add your skills that you choose. So we're just gonna pick some random stuff here. You get 6 points that you can distribute basically in pairs. So you add 2 points to each one of these triggers that you're gonna select. These are basically like pilot skills, and you can create your own. So we're gonna create one here that's appropriate for our pilot. Once we've created it, we click on the little blue plus sign here, and that adds it to our pilot. So if we scroll up to the top, we're going to see all of the skill triggers that we have selected for this pilot. Again, there's a total of 6 points, and you see here, or 8 points rather, at the license level 0, and there they are selected. Then you hit next or continue. You have the pilot talents. Now these are going to be used in combat, so this is how you pilot your mech, and as you can see, each one goes to 3 levels. So when you pick one, before you pick it, you can see if there's a blue oval here, that's a new skill that you can click on to see details on, and then to select that skill, you just unlock. You click where it says unlock. Once you've picked all 3, it shoots you to the bottom so you can continue. But if you scroll to the top, it's going to show you all the ones you've selected. And if you're curious and forgot what each one does, you can click on it on the top here by the arrow, and it jumps you right to it, like so. Alright, so we scroll back to the bottom, we click continue, and that takes us to pilot mech skills. So these are like your stats, your quote-unquote stats. The whole agility, systems, and engineering, you start with 2 at license level 0, and you can split those. These are not like the triggers where you have to put 2 points at a time on each one. Here you can split it 1 and 1, or just put 2 on a single one. As you click continue, then you can register your pilot, but you will not be done creating this pilot. So once you register your pilot, they'll be in your roster, but you have to go back and open it up again to finish creating this pilot. I don't know why they did this way, but it's whatever. It's not that much of an inconvenience. As you scroll through the character sheet, you see all the things you've selected here, including your triggers and talents. But you notice on the bottom here, hangar, it shows no mech. So you have to add a mech. At license level 0, the only option you have is the Everest, the GMS Everest. So you're going to have to select that one. You can give it a name, or you can add your a random name by clicking the little dice on the left. But we'll just give it a cool name that's going to strike fear into our enemies' hearts. Not the Fool's Guide to Happiness, that's silly. So we're going to give it a nice strong name. Now you go back to the character sheet and you can see at the bottom we have our mech. It normally would have a picture. If you add a picture, you can add your own or use a stock picture for your mech. And if you click on it, you'll see, because you're not done yet, on the top there's warning. There's missing stuff. So yes, you've picked a mech, but it's got no weapons or systems. So that's what it's warning you about here. So you can scroll down there and you've got all of the stats for the mech, all the detailed information that is pertinent for combat, etc., and for roleplay. And then it's going to list your core bonus there. And here are your equipment loadouts. This is your weapon mounts. So each one of these is a slot. Every mech is different. So some have 3 slots like this one, some have 2, some have 1, some have more than this. But this one has a main mount, a flex mount, and a heavy mount. So you can, the main mount and flex mount, you can mount. So when you click on any one mount, it's going to give you the options. You can do a search, or you can use the drop down here. That's going to give you all the options that you can use on that specific mount. It won't show you any that you cannot use on that mount. So you pick the one you want, and then it's going to show you, before you select it, it's going to show you the description. A lot of it is flavor text. Not all of it shows you how it can be used in game, but it's flavor text because, again, this is a very heavy roleplay type of game. You click equip and it's going to equip it for you. So the same goes for the main mount. So you can just pick whatever. You spend some time checking out which one would be most convenient, would fit your character the best, of course. But as you can see, the mounts are filling up with the slots. It's going to show you the weapons. Now for an auxiliary flex mount, sometimes you can fit 2 weapons if they're small enough. So in this case, we picked one that was a small, so we can go back and it shows an auxiliary slot open up, so you can go back and add another auxiliary weapon. So now you see, we actually, instead of 3, we're going to be able to have 4 weapons. So now when we go to the heavy mount, we can pick a heavy mount, an auxiliary or a main mount, and fit them all on the heavy mount. Because it's so large, you can fit any weapon, small or large. But so we're gonna pick one here, and you're gonna see it'll show you the 4 slots on our weapons mounts. It's got all 4 slots filled. But when you have a heavy mount slot, if you take a super heavy weapon, it not only uses the heavy mount slot, but it also uses one of your other slots. So if we were, instead of the charged blade, we were to take a super heavy weapon, Cyclone Pulse Rifle. That's a super heavy rifle, as you can see on the right hand side towards the middle of the page. Super heavy rifle, and it warns you this is going to take up one of your other mounts. So we have to pick which one we're going to lose. We will be losing one of our weapons, or maybe 2 if we use the auxiliary mount, or the flex mount. So we're going to pick one, and you see the mount, our main mount, is locked now because it is being used to brace that super heavy weapon. And now we are back to 3 weapons rather than 4. Then we have to pick our systems. If you see at the bottom here, it says systems. On the right, it says 6 out of 6 SP. Those are your systems points. And when you click to fill it, you can do a search, or you can use the drop down, and you can read through, pick which systems. These are like bonus skills that you can use during combat and outside of combat. Things like flying, having an extra arm, little bit of a shield, things like that. You can add them, and each one takes a number of system points. On the left hand side, you see a little gray box with 2 diamonds. that shows how many systems points each one of these is going to use. So as you use it, notice the systems points on the right now show 4 out of 6 SP. So you've used 2 for this one, which means you can keep adding more until you've used up all your system points, or you can save them until you level up and gain more systems points to get something else. But I would recommend you use them all up right away, because you can always change it in the future. So as you start picking them, it starts using up your systems points, and sometimes you're going to be left with a lone system point just kind of floating. So as you see here, I'm down to 1 out of 6, but there are single point systems that you can choose from, such as custom paint job, so we can add that. The extra arm also is a 1 point one. So now finally we are done with creating this mech. So on the bottom here you see a picture of a little guy that takes you back to the main character sheet for this character. So when you click on that, it's going to take you back to your character sheet, and you can review everything before you exit. But here it is. Here's our character. We can review everything again. Now we show our mech at the bottom, and we're all set. So it takes a little bit longer than the randomized one, but it really doesn't take that long either. It really takes less than 5 minutes. It's taken long here because I've had to do the explanations. But once you're used to it, really it takes a very short amount of time to create a character. To level up, you go back, open the character, and you see on the top right where it says level up, you can change your license level. Right now it shows 0. You click level up, it's going to take you to flavor text. Don't let this confuse you. If you're new to this, it can be confusing. There's a lot of flavor text. It's going to warn you about using a fake license and all this other stuff. This is all flavor text. But if you continue through, you're going to see where you can add skill points, triggers, all that stuff, just like you did when you first created the character, only you're adding to the character because now you've leveled up and you are gaining new skills, new triggers, and of course you're gonna have access to new mechs as well. So doing the mechs when you level up is the same way as when you create your character. There's no randomization when you level up. This you have to do manually. When you're improving talents, you can choose a new talent, or you can level up one of your existing talents. If you see here to the right on the red bar, you'll see a little shield. It could be blank. That means you don't have that talent yet. If you see a shield with one line, one V-shaped line, that means you're at level 1 on that skill. If there's 2, that means you've leveled it up to 2, and then it can go up to 3, so you'll see the 3 V-shaped lines. And you choose your skill, and then you hit next, and it'll continue on to the next level of character creation or character leveling. So then we go to the mech skills that you want to improve: whole, agility, systems, or engineering. We'll just pick a random one here, agility. You hit continue, and it'll take you then to unlocking your license. Now when you reach license level 1, it unlocks other mechs. At license level 0, you only have the GMS Everest, but when you level up to license level 1, you have access to the 4 manufacturers, which are Harrison Armory, Horus, Smith, Shimano Corporal, and IPS Northstar. Each one of these has their own specific mechs, and you want to be really selective here because they reward loyalty, these manufacturers. So when you pick one, you kind of want to stick with it as you level up and pick only mechs from that one manufacturer, because you get some bonuses later on. So before you select it, you can view what kind of things you get with this mech as it's grayed out. But once you select to unlock the mech at the bottom there, then you see it's no longer grayed out. Now you can see what things you get with the mech. Next to the name Black Witch, you see the little shield again with one V-shaped line. That is the rank, the level of the mech. You can get up to rank 3 on each mech. In this case, it's a rank 1 mech. So when you hit next, your character is complete and you have leveled this character. Normally it would show up on the bottom here all the mechs that you have that you've unlocked. For some reason it's only showing me the GMS Everest. It's not showing me the Black Witch that I selected, but you can always, on the top right, when you click on the mech, you can unlock and override the blocks. So if we scroll to the mech, here we add new mech, and on the top right you see a little green lock. That means it's locked because you don't have access to those mechs. But if you open it and it turns yellow there, now you are able to pick any mech you want to override the system. So we're going to pick the Black Witch, and just like when you were first creating the character, you can name your mech and or have it pick a random name for you. And once you register the mech, then it's going to appear on your character sheet here in your hanger, which is the mechs that you have available to you. Again, when you click on it, it's going to show you the warnings, the things that are not of it that you haven't selected as far as weapons and systems, but it also gives you that yellow warning that says you don't have a license for this mech. Again, I missed something while I was creating the character. I'm a little rushed, but you shouldn't be getting this kind of error. If not, you can always go back and figure it out pretty easily. This is a very user-friendly system. Alright, and then we're ready for combat. So what we do is make sure you're connected always on the lower right there, that you're signed in. Then you can go to your, because even if you're not connected, it's going to show you your roster, because it saves it with cookies locally on your drive. So it'll look like you're signed in, but you're not. But always make sure you are. So you select your pilot, and then you check them, make sure everything's kosher. In this case, we find that I forgot, because I didn't randomly generate it, I forgot to select my reserves and bonuses and my gear for my actual pilot, not for my mech. So I go back, I would just pick some random stuff here very quickly. This is gear for your pilot themselves in case they are not in their mech, in case you're either using just your pilot in a roleplay kind of scenario, or for when your pilot, let's say your mech gets destroyed and your pilot has to jump out, you need to have all this gear as well, and reserves and stuff. So we're going to select some of this stuff here and move forward to try to jump into an adventure. So when you feel you're ready to go, on the bottom left corner, that red bar, you see something that looks like a power button in a diamond. You want to click that. That means you're ready to start your adventure. So when you click it, it says active mode. It's going to take you to make sure that everything is full. It's going to show you that you haven't put all your gear, but you can override this and see on the bottom left it says start mission, and then you can start your mission that way. But if you want to go back to add your gear and stuff, you have to exit, go back to the character roster and do that. You're going to select your mech, and again, your mech is, if it's not ready, it's going to give you the warning, system capacity remaining. We have basically a system point that we have not added to our mech. So we're going to go back very quickly, add that system to our mech, and then we will be ready, hopefully, to start this mission. Now we can see over on the top right, 1 out of 7 SP. That means we only have one system point. So we're going to have to get a single pointer. Let's find one. And we know that the extra arm is a single point, not the pattern hex charges, because that's 2. But the manipulators, that's the extra arm. That is a 1 system point system. And so we add it, and now we're ready to go. The cool thing is you don't have to go back all the way out again. From here, you can actually start the mission also. So you click on the bottom right, that little power button in the diamond, and then start mission. and then you can engage combat mode, and that we will discuss in a future video in more detail. But basically it opens up your character sheet where you can add and change things like your hit points. As you get hit, you can adjust it, and your systems, so you have weapons that get used up, like missiles, you only have one use, and then you got to reload, so you can do that, and it helps you keep track of it during combat. So it's very handy. You don't have to use a manual character sheet. It's kind of like how some virtual tabletops do it. Well, there you have it, another issue in the bag. So I hope you got something out of it. I know I always do. I know this was a pretty long video, but it was necessary. If you're into Lancer and you're not familiar with CompCon, I hope this really helped you out quite a bit. If you liked the video, please hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the notification bell. It really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and if you have questions, please send me an email, headlesshammerhead@gmail.com, or leave a comment below. I try to respond very quickly, and I will see you on the next one.